Hello everyone, this is Incredible Fencing Podcast. For more information you can visit my website, subscribe to my YouTube channel or Instagram page. Hello everyone, this is Incredible Fencing Podcast and my name is Taras and welcome back to this new episode. And I haven't been recording episodes for more than 2 months, and the reason is I was taking the break and I was a little bit busy with daily stuff. And this is new episode of season 2, because season 1 consisted 10 episodes with few guests. I hope those guests told us a lot of interesting things for listeners. And today I invited another guest, the legendary coach from UK and Polish fencer, Maestro Ziemek Wojciechowski. I think if you are familiar with fencing, you know Ziemek for sure, and you have heard his name somewhere before. And let me introduce him a little bit. So he's a Polish fencer, and he was participating in Olympic Games in 1976 in Montreal. And after he started his coaching career, he's got a lot of great students who showed amazing results on the piste on many international and national competitions. And recently he published his book, his encyclopedia of fencing, which is called This is Fencing. And I think if you want to read it, you can purchase it in internet and get it delivered anywhere in the world. So don't hesitate. If you love fencing, just do it, and you can find out a lot of useful tips in this book and many approaches to practice fencing and to coach fencing and just learn fencing in generally. And I'm not gonna talk too long time about this, and I think this is our conversation with Ziemek Wojciechowski, and here we go.
Hello.
Ziemek, thank you for accepting the invitation for this call.
Right, pleasure.
It's a big honor to have you in this podcast. I was researching many interesting things about your career, and I've read actually your book a few times. This is Fencing. So I read it a few times because after I read it only one time, I got so many information in my head, so I couldn't memorize all of them because it's, I think it's kind of like encyclopedia of fencing, right? What do you think?
Thank you. You make my head very big now.
I mean it. I think it's a comprehensive approach for everything, like how to do coaching and fencing training. So especially for maybe coaches who are basically just started recently to coach kids and fencers. So it's I think it's great to have such information, because fencing is kind of not super popular kind of sport like football, for example. So we don't have much access for information. So I think you've done a unique job to deliver the information to all people who want to improve their coaching skills and techniques and find out something new.
Thank you. It was, I ended up in hospital, with heart problems, and I was told that this is quite bad situation. So I thought I may not have enough time. So I decided to write quickly everything what I know about fencing. So to share with the younger guys who just started, because I devoted my life to fencing. But luckily my heart recovered, But what triggered that book really? The fact that I found myself in hospital, and suddenly I had lots of time to to spare, and I decided I'm not going to waste it. I just time is so important because I may not have much left, and this way. And I, from that moment, I carried on and off. When I recover, and finally, I had a great help from Christopher Flatnagel, who is an Australian fencer. He's one of my fencers. He is a linguist, and he helped me with translating this into the English, which could be comprehended. Because writing about fencing is certainly to describe exercise is quite hard. To make it readable for most who read English. I must admit, I got good feedbacks from some parents saying, I don't know anything about fencing, but I can understand what you wrote. So it was very, very, very useful. Whenever you write your book, maybe ask someone who is a good linguist to help you with.
I think it's very intelligible for me. It's very intelligible because I know you speak Polish, and you also you have
Russian a little bit.
In Russian. I think you speak Russian very well. I've heard.
I spoke a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. How many languages you speak?
Unfortunately, I don't speak as many languages as Richard Adam Cruz. Richard Adam Cruz and Tofalides Alex speak fluently 5 languages each of them 5. Some of them very difficult, like Arabic. So I will never reach their linguistic skills. But I can say I can speak kind of okay Polish, Russian, and English.
Polish, Russian.
And it's very interesting. Because if you want to say the same thing in Russian, for example, you get some kind of much more emotional meaning, much more different meaning, of same thing. For example, polye boya. We call it pist, but Russian call it polye boya. This is field of the battle.
Field of the battle, yeah.
If you go on the polye boya, field on the battle, you feel like you are going to. You feel different than if you go on the pist.
Yeah.
This is example of how useful is to, I guess, speak some languages, more than one.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, when I read your book, I feel a little bit of influence of the some Soviet school, right? So
yes, absolutely.
So I
spent lots of time talking to Russian coaches.
Yeah.
I wrote lots of Russian books written in fencing because luckily I was able to read Russian. And of course, Polish Professor Tchaikovsky was very, famous for his theory about sport, our sport. He was very productive. But Russian literature and Russian coaches had tremendous influence. Yes, I remember inviting Alex Zuyev, who was coaching. Very, very beautiful Russian style fencer, Lichko, who married Ibragimov.
I know.
Yes, Lichko. And he also many others, but I invited him, and we spent night after night talking about fencing. It was just like a brainwash. I was so excited about his Russian, really tremendous know-how. About fencing,
It's like
it was very much.
I think when two people who are who are fencers and who love fencing, I think they can talk about fencing for many hours without stop.
Yes, indeed, yes.
Yeah. So.
And another one was Alexander Press, who is very active coaching now. He was coming down to London many times with the team we organized in Russia. We invited Russian ambassador to Lansdowne Club in ballroom, beautiful historical center of London, Mayfair. We organized, and we had a big audience, and then. And we have a training together, a team like Kowalski, Rigin, Sedov, Zasorin, this kind of guys. They were wonderful fencers, and we have great time. together, and so that's another person to influence me a lot, Alex Press, and also Oleg Maciejczuk, who is kind of ex-Soviet, now Ukraine, but still the same system. Same. I spent lots of time discussing fencing with Oleg and learned lots of things from Oleg, and also even someone who became a coach in Italy, Oleg Pusano, for example.
Yeah.
I had some good time with him. We would discuss fencing on one of our training camps, I think. Oleg Kozanov, who passed away a few years ago. He was coaching Pepe in Italy recently, yes. But same time, I had eyes open, because like you know, we always, nothing stops. Everyone is working on some improvement in every field, and sport is one of them. And I'm fascinated with Italian coaches. You know, they are really very interesting. I was very fascinated with Maestro Di Rosa. I interview him and watch his lesson and discuss with him. I was fascinated. Obviously, I discussed a lot of things with, for instance, Alexander Romanikov, who was 5 times world champion. You know, we talk about fencing, but talking about, I also look at the French coaches. I took part in some seminars of organizing in France, and also I did manage to actually, French invited me to run coaching clinic for them, so that was quite interesting. And I'm trying to pick up anything what I notice looks useful for to see whether I could do something, and also learning from other, if you like, weapons like saber. You can pick up lots of things from saber, and also learning from other sport like Tai Chi, for example. I introduced to fencing preparation. I call it Tai Chi step. It's nothing much more different than Gołębicki preparation. We're starting with food, taking hand away, and then producing feint afterwards, you know, with kind of very fluid movement. But because I do Tai Chi myself, and I find very close to this kind of motion, this kind of fluid motion, very much like Tai Chi anyway. So things always, fencing always develop, everything always develop, and nothing stays still. Of course, understatement, but we have to keep eye on everyone in the world, you know, everyone who.
I agree.
Shows who's working hard. When you work hard, you know, doesn't matter. If you work hard and you have a system, you work hard, you will always, this philosophical principle, quantity turns into quality. So if you do something a lot, eventually you start changing, you start improving. Obviously, you become more efficient, but you start improving. You start looking for new ways. And I can see how, because I'm quite old guy, over 40 years of coaching, I see how
you look still young.
Changes. Sorry, what do you say?
You say I say you look very young. If I look, I saw you last time, so you look like
yes.
As one of our colleagues.
You make my day. No, I'm lucky, you know. Probably one of the things I'm young because I'm doing fencing with young people. You know, I'm very active. They force me to be active, and I think this is very important factor. We are very lucky to work with youngsters.
Yes, you're right. So that's a good point. So what do you think about fencing schools? Of course, like last time, like maybe last 10 years, we have a very good internet, Facebook, and all social media, so people can share some experience. But still, there are some like differences in them, like the strongest schools. So I think, like if you take, for example, Russian school and compare it with Italian school, there are quite distinctive like things, so on them. So do you think, like, if you follow already like Russian school or French school, so like how you can adjust something if you want to take something from some Italian school, right? So can you mix them, or is better to follow only one direction you already like started?
Well, First of all, that philosophical statement, many roads leads to Rome.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's very true with our sport. Many ways. There is Italian way, there is Russian way, and there is French way, there's American way, there is mixed way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I personally think that, as I said before, it's better to create your own way, the way you feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like composing music, okay? You don't try to play Chopin. If you consider yourself as a composer, you compose something which it's you, and which you really agree with you, which you really feel inside of you. And I think same, and what you think as well. I don't see any reason why we all should create our own way forward. Of course, whatever you like from each school, and whatever you think it works in practice as well, because for example, I like certain things from Italian school. For example, coordination between arm and legs in certain actions. For example, I like the idea of making a beat attack with a step lunge or step on back foot or first step, for example. Or I like the idea of making feint, very late feint on back foot or first step when you do step lunge.
Yeah.
And these things are very Italian. However, I struggle a little bit with the idea of not going back with the parry, because Italians don't like stepping back. When attack starts, they want to stand still and parry it. Mm-hmm. And they maybe think, why should I move back if target will be quicker available to hit?
Yeah.
Maybe that's their philosophy. I can understand that point, but I prefer distance first, prepare distance, and then parry whenever attack finished. Yes, last moment or first moment, of course, but we're talking before about this last moment parry. And you mentioned even after putting front foot down, you still parry a little bit later, so as late as you can. And then, for instance, I prefer move feet, but recently in certain exercises I start encouraging fencers not to move feet, when they parry in certain situations. But anyway, the overall message is to go your own way and take what is the best from everyone.
So you need to create your...
That's my philosophy.
You basically create your own style. Depends of the feeling, right? So if you feel
to some extent, but for example, you can to some extent, but you can say if I pick up most things from Russian school, you can say, oh, well, this is it's like having a pedigree dog and dog which is mixed, My dog has got lots of from Russian wolf, but I've got also French poodle and maybe Italian, I don't know. But
exactly.
Polish as well, Polish horse. Yeah.
That was I meant because now everyone is actually like in this world. I mean, like not last year because we had a pandemic, but like before everybody could travel a little bit more than maybe like 15 years ago, right? And everybody's got good internet, good connection. People can go to training camps, share experience. So I think, so basically, do you think in 20 years probably the fencing schools are gonna be like very mixed?
I believe so. I believe that this is how it seems to be going. Because even in Italy, you have coaches coach a little bit different. And of course, I can see how Italian style developed this long time ago. It was very, very classical, like Italian style, very army, very extended in supination, like front hand extended, sitting low. Of course, now they still sit low, of course, but they move towards arm in tiers, and guard in tiers, right?
Yeah.
But and step forward starts with front foot, not with the hand, not hand first, but and you take point away to invite opponent. So it's a kind of like dynamic preparation. So anyway, so. Even within Italian style, there are some changes, some differences. Not every Italian coach teach in tiers. Not every Italian coach, for example.
Yeah, I think Italian school is also very different. So because they As I've been told by one Italian coach, in Italy, everybody tries to find something, make some innovations in the style, and they every time changing.
Yes, they are very creative. Italian are very creative. You can see architecture, you can see art, you can see in the music, opera. They are very creative people, and obviously in fencing as well. And for example, Paolo Paoletti, who coaches Baldini, right? He coaches totally different, more classical actually than some, than for example Maestro Di Rosa who coached Numa Borella and Cipressa. Yes. So that's the most kind of visible change. The difference, between Italian masters, at the moment, So yes, you are right. I believe in 20 years' time that there will be just everyone looking for the most effective style of fencing, and of course, fencers do have their own feel. What works, what doesn't. We have so many different styles not so much because of school of fencing, but because of personality of the fencer.
Yeah, all right.
Who can develop a particular way of fencing.
Yeah, everything is changing.
Cheremisinov is incredibly, Cheremisov, for example, is incredibly different than most people.
You mean most people in Russia, Russian fencers, or in the world?
Russian, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a unique style as well.
Russian fencers used to look very similar to each other in my days when it was Soviet time, long time ago, before 80, in 70s, 67s, long time ago. And now they are, of course, they don't stand still. They develop. Young coaches develop. They learn from old coaches, Malayenko, Arkadiev, then Midler, and now obviously Mamedov and all others, Shevchenko. They all students of, for example, Midler, and Midler was probably a student of Arkadiev, but they all changes. They all adding something from their own, experience and thinking.
Yeah. All right, Ziemek, I have some other question about the names of the fencing actions. When I read your book, I can find everybody can find many. Sometimes funny, sometimes different names for different actions. So some names I heard before, like Gorbushka, right? So you call it when somebody hit it.
Gorbushka, Taras, I like the idea of individual names for certain actions, particular, maybe even situations sometimes, like some backline. I call it defense of Stalingrad. Because Nikita Sergeyevich Khrushchev came from Stalin and said to the troops, "Look, not a single step back, because you will be shot by our soldiers, our military police. So if you're on the back line, you can't go a single step back. You are there, and you have to face the music, face the opponent. So I call this situation backline defense of Stalingrad." But I like it because I like history, and it reminds me, it brings this meaning of that awful situation when you are cornered. And for example, that name like defense with distance, I call it Shahput after one of the Arabic guys. It adds to the culture of our sport, adds something extra. You could potentially create a universal language, name officially. This is this, and to some extent this exists. This official, for example, defense with distance. We call defense with distance, I guess. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
But it's defense with distance.
Yeah. But if you call it Shahput, it's easier.
It's one word. Shahput.
Yeah, Shahput.
It's clear. It's everyone knows. Shahput was the name of Arabic prince who came to have a lesson when my friends were practicing on next week's exercise set to defend with distance. Like they were allowed only maximum 3 elements forward, and they have to give initiative back. And from time to time, one of them commit, and the other has to defend and then hit back and chase back. No blade action. This kind of this is a very good exercise. Being creative. Chandler, Watson, created that touch. He called it champlay from champ, not from his name, champlay. Yes.
Yeah, it's very nice. So you
So
basically some of the names you created by yourself, but some of the names you were just it's kind of it's already known before, I think, right? Or all of this?
Yes, sure, yes.
So we're just creating some connection.
For example, Garbushka was when Sveshnikov started doing this hits on the back of our fences. My coaches, they call it Garbushka themselves. It's Polish language, Polish. Well, a little bit Russian, really, from Russian, but babushka, garbushka,
you have the same word in Polish, right?
Polish, yes, long time ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's actually I think it's very convenient way to call some, especially like some long word names, right? Like distance defense. So
yes.
So you when you strip caution, for example, you can say one word, right? And your fencer is gonna understand exactly what you mean and exactly what your advice, right? So just one word and.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very much so, and it's just more economical, and also it applies to your and fencer's imagination somehow. And imagination is very powerful. Imagination is something very, very helpful with our everyday life, with face opponent when you train, when you give lesson, when you take lesson. Imagination, when you learn, basically, imagination is very important, very powerful. So anything which kind of helps to trigger imagination working. It's helpful.
Ziemek, I see you were participating in Summer Olympics in Canada, right? It was in Montreal.
Yes, 1976.
1976. So,
Summer Olympics where Fabio D'Azzotto won.
If you take Olympics at that time and Olympics like in modern times, like Rio or London, what's changed if you compare with that time? What's changed in modern Olympics? Does it become better or from the other hand, it's becoming like a little bit different? And like, what's your feeling about that?
I think is that sport in general, Olympics as well, follow the same pattern. Basically, sport is for Olympics as well. It's not so much like used to be for athletes, for humanity, but to be now more for spectators, for media. So anything to make it more attractive for media, for spectators, it has been introduced. Of course, I'm not talking about changes in tank equipment, all this technical stuff. The way people, focus, organize everything. Olympics is more for now, and will be. I think this trend still exists. More commercial, more for spectators, more for media, more for making. I would say for making profit. Yes. But of course, this Olympics will be totally different because of the situation we're in, this COVID. But overall,
Yeah.
Because no spectators are in it.
Yeah, there are no spectators allowed there.
This Olympics actually might be a little bit closer to the. This is Olympics just for athletes, really, mainly. But
anyway, it's better than nothing especially for many athletes, right? So it's like reminding me a situation when when you prepare in a long time and then you just get your maybe competition of your life cancelled, so it's not so many people maybe even cry. I remember
this was unusual. This was
I remember Olga Harlan said once.
Yes, what did you remember?
She was very upset when they cancelled Tokyo. Mistaken when they cancelled Tokyo Olympics last time. So she was almost crying, and because it's very big and hard work to prepare, and then you get just cancelled.
No, absolutely. I think absolutely. I think this is a unique situation now. We haven't been sport overall. never been in that situation before. This is absolutely awful, anticlimax, setback, disappointment for so many athletes. The cancellation of Olympics and cancellation of various tournaments. I remember people who went to Anaheim, it's Grand Prix. Day before Anaheim, this was announced it's cancelled. So again, everyone's getting ready and suddenly.
Yeah,
so, but,
I remember.
This things never happened before, or very rarely. This kind of stuff which we now experience is unprecedented.
Yeah. Have you been vaccinated already?
Yes, I was very lucky. I got Pfizer to vaccination. Yes, very lucky.
Okay. So how you feel after? Everything is fine?
Well, I am very now. Obviously after having the first dose, I was so much more going out and doing my lesson on open air when it was allowed. I knew that I won't pick up anything, and I knew that I very unlikely I will transfer something to someone else. So I was obviously wearing mask and.
Yeah.
In fact, 3 masks. One stage I wear proper medical mask, then fencing mask, and on top of fencing mask I wear visor.
Oh,
visor.
yeah, exactly. So
you
have
3 protection.
3 layers of protection.
Yes, 3 layers. Yes, but now I'm very, very confident. Although there are all these new, mutants of the time happening, but. So far, this vaccine is still effective. Maybe not that much, but still effective enough to deal with this so far. And then they probably produce some booster.
Yeah. I hope it's gonna get better. So we are happy we live in modern times, right? So medicine works pretty fast, so they can produce vaccine also fast. Ziemek, we had FIE Olympic qualification. It was in Madrid, and I remember some athletes, they were very upset because the way of Olympic qualification, right? So I remember they even wrote some posts as like many European athletes, they don't have many chances to be qualified to Olympics. Even though they are pretty strong. So, do you think? Do you have any thoughts about maybe just some suggestions for how we can optimize this system to make sure more strong fencers can get to Olympics, so we can actually see more. So Olympic Games could be also quite even more interesting to watch in future. Do you think it's possible to increase number, or maybe just change the teams and individual tournaments, they separate them, so so we need to qualify separately to individual and separately to team events? Do you have any thoughts about this matter?
Well, I certainly agree with you. That's a good point. Olympic Games isn't represented adequately, objectively, strength of fencers across the world.
Yeah.
I agree with you totally, and I agree that change has to be done. I have no doubt there will be change, but I didn't actually spend any time thinking what would be the most logical here to probably increasing number of participants. It will be rather impossible. There's more and more events. I think we increase number of events and number of places they try to keep to the very much limit. So this is why we are very lucky to get to 12 medals, sets of medals for team. Yeah. Thanks to Usmanov and thanks to president of International Olympic Committee, Thomas Bach.
Yeah.
For that change. We're very lucky to have a full, but certainly what I think it's in Olympic Games interesting that on one hand we want as broad representation. It's not such an easy issue. Broad representation of people from want to develop fencing.
From everywhere in the world,
across many countries. So if it's someone like Senegal fencing, it would be nice to bring this on the map on the one hand. But on the other hand, we want quality. Yes, we want fencing is sport is all about Olympic sport is all about human limitation. Boundaries, how far in any direction. In terms of mental stamina and explosiveness, speed, precision. All these factors which we develop and experiment with in high performance sport. All these elements. So in that sense, obviously, it would be good to have as high standard of participants as possible. And I think something has to be done in this direction for sure. And on expense of this lesser country. They have to wait longer. They have to develop really good, high caliber players to be allowed to compete. But at the moment, it's kind of like, it's certainly, Europe is such a strong nation, fencing nation. And Europe is so only got one place in this individual. In the past, there were slightly more. Like in women's foil, there were more. But of course, then if there was a team, then the individual got more places. But at the moment, it's really, really tough. One person only per zone, so very tough.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
I think something has to be changed, but I have no clear idea which direction.
Some people suggested to reduce to those people who qualified through team, let only 2 people from team participate in individual. So individual, we can have more individual places which can be like contested in the zonals, for example.
That's good. That's a reasonable point. Instinctively, my first impression is I would agree with that, and probably it's something which could happen. Changes will happen inevitably. Nothing stands still. Nothing. There will be some changes for sure.
Yeah, exactly. The FIE tries to change something every 4 years, right? If I'm not mistaken. So every 4 years there is some suggestions about changing the rules a little bit. Yeah, not all of that rules stays, right? Stay with us, because I remember in Beijing it was transparent masks, right? But then after 1 or 2 years they had to cancel it because it was not as safe as they thought before. So yeah.
Rules will be changing all the time. It's never ending. Interpretation of rules will change. The referee will start changing slightly the way they interpret it. And in fact, in my opinion, our rules has to written, redefined, using again some good logical language.
Yeah.
Because lots of things are just. Lots of things referee interpret, but it's not nothing.
That's a good point. We had many ambiguous calls, right? So you can give point to the either side. So they can put some more information about the right of way, right? In foil, especially.
Yes.
So about
and various other things. For example, this thing with some people when they parry and they riposte, they also rotate body. Now, this is not very clear. You can go. The rules should specify that particular situation.
Yeah.
Can you move your body in down or up or sideways when you riposte, or you are not allowed? At the moment, there is no such thing, and some referee, if they see bodies moving around, they don't give it, and some referee give it. Of course, if you turn your back completely, it already shouldn't. It's against the rule. We know that we cannot. But if you do it after, question is before or after it, question. But refereeing issues are incredibly important for us coaches. We really have to constantly discuss with top referees how they interpret rules and equally put pressure on someone to rewrite them.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be always a question because it's kind of a subjective decision, right? So everybody's got different opinion, right, on this. So I can see something, but another person maybe doesn't see anything. Especially for me, it's one of the hardest calls sometimes when the person goes to attack. We call it pressure attack, right? So when there is pressure attack, so there is very narrow edge between pressure attack and attack on preparation, right? So sometimes it's very small difference, like, so whether that person who tried to press, he was going to attack consistently, right? Or he stopped and he got attack on preparation, right? So there are many.
What is beginning of attack, or the small difference between these two?
So that is hopefully there is gonna be some high technology machine which can decide who gets point. What do you think about that?
Yes. Well, why not? Why not? Technology is developing incredible. So invent something to our sport, introduce, transfer some devices to our sport, the way we referee things, or referees interpret the rules. But also, equally, I still think that certain things should be much more defined, much clearer defined. And, for example, I would say a line. For example, line should be defined. That line, of course, at the moment, the definition is a line is good if it's established before attack starts. Before attack starts. But I think for practical reason, much easier would be to say line on time if it's before final step lunge or step flash of the opponent. That will be much more clear to me, rather than saying before attack starts. But when is the point when attack starts? You know, there's debatable. Much better to say it like before final step lunge or step flash. But we don't have specification in the rules, for example.
Yeah, exactly. So it's supposed to be like more clearer, right?
And and also referees. There should be some commission of referees should add something to the rules, like how they interpret attack or how they interpret preparation. To define somehow in most kind of easier to comprehend ways, like I suggested, final step lunge or step flash, for example. That's clear. That's evident. Something like that. That should be rewritten and first of all addressed and then. But they don't call for it for a long time ago, and a lot of top guys in our sport were pushing for it. Somehow nothing happened because probably there's a matter of time, money, and availability of people wanting to do it. So
hopefully it's gonna be improved soon, so we can have less.
I don't want to sound that I love saber. I think it's fantastic sport, very fast, exciting sport, and I can see so many people love saber. But I'm sorry about the referee. It's just. This is we are in much better position than the moment saber is so fast, and the interpretation of rules here is so vary between top experts, between top referees. So we foil. I personally think EPEs in this respect, EPEs are luckiest guys because there's very little thing which referee can make mistake in EPE.
Actually you're right. I think in EPE is basically referee just needs to watch like about some floor hits, right, and some non-valid hits, like when you hit another part of the like not your opponent, but in other things But in happy, I think sometimes also happy happens something like
of course, yes.
Like last confusion on it was in London, right? When it was 1 second,
1 second,
1 second left, and it was like 8 or 10 attacks in 1 second. So, but I think now they changed it
because the referee wasn't very experienced. It happened. Also, there was some keeper. The timekeeper wasn't experienced, and many reasons. Reasons for that. It should happen again. Such thing. I'm sorry for Korean girl.
Yeah, that was upsetting. Yeah. All right, Ziemek. I have maybe a few last questions. The one question is very important. I come up with this question after I read some article from your book.
Yes.
So when you fence with the same team, so we have the same people to fence every day, how to make a new skills and new strokes which you want to apply against your teammates. Yes. So it makes sure they're gonna work well, because if you find out something new and it works very well for you, your partners you fence with, they're gonna find out some counteraction against your action, right?
Yes.
So it's not gonna. True. So maybe it's very good action for competition, but it's not gonna work on training because your teammates, your partners, they don't want to lose, right? They want to find out something against this, right? So how to make sure you develop the great skills and you can use it in competition?
Okay. Well, it's kind of complex question. First of all, I very much believe that in work in chemistry with some players, that you can get on very well with particular players, and you can complement each other in terms of new developments. Say, I call it working in pairs. Like Richard Cruz used to work very closely with Ben Montague. Then Richard Cruz worked very closely with Lawrence Halstead. So they had very often 14 in training, and was questioned who can do that last touch, who can give. Then James Davies came and pushed Richard, and obviously Richard first was pushing James Davies, and James Davies then grew up and started pushing Richard, and they work extremely well together. So there is this aspect that if the chemistry is right, they can really push each other. If they're creative enough, they don't allow to be stale. They always look for something else, for change timing, change slightly angle, change distance, change actually action, stroke, put it in different situation. And of course you filter what works you develop, what doesn't work you can keep trying until it works. But after a while, if this decided it's not working, you try so hard that is no point to carry on, probably, unless you clearly make some kind of evident mistake and you have to change distance or moment, whatever. So that's one aspect. Second aspect, it's always good to have obviously push you very much. It's fresh blood for new fences. So the issue of getting stale, serving same sauce, same, every club, every group, every squad has got the same issue. And also it's good to refresh, good to have a variety, good to have a new fences coming to your camp, or good to go abroad to another country train, because they are different style, different timing, way of responding, reacting. Like certain fences, like going to Korea could be very, very important, because the Koreans so fast, so simple but very fast, for example. So you have to learn how can you adapt this against such a fast style. And you don't get this kind of people in your country, for example. So this is all good to get variety. But same time, there is a for working pairs, and there's another thing. Even if certain action works, if I'm on form and certain action works, I can hit with this action if I, of course, prepare well and draw attention to something else. Anyone or particular opponent, most times, even if he knows about it, that I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I used to have Ziemek Wojciechowski, was the very famous fencer from Poland.
Yeah.
He got World Youth Championships title, World Youth and Olympic gold in team. And he was my friend. We get on very well. And I remember he had got most incredible beat disengage flash, but the disengage was so small, and the way he did this, that was kind of relevant. And when new season to his success or not, and when new season started, when we have a first fight in competition between each other, and when he beat me, then practically for a very long time, maybe several more competitions, I couldn't beat him. I knew that he's going to do that flash, but each time he was doing this, he was hitting me. Although I knew, and I knew that I should. But when I was in form, he was like off form. I was able to, and he knew that I know, and he knew that he succeeded before, even if I expected. But then it was continued for quite a while. That since I find the timing and the way, he wasn't that effective against me. Maybe it's something to do with his belief, his confidence as well, because it's all these things connected. But the way he prepared, when he's on form, his body language, where I knew it's coming, but I couldn't say when. So such a tremendously well, and sometimes I could say I could deal with this quite well, So what happened? Even if you expect from your opponent action, sometimes you can deal with it. Sometimes you can't. You cannot find counteraction. You find a way, because the way he does it's so great, so super.
Do you think if you find? Do you think if you find some great action, so I think, do you think you should try to do it often, or sometimes you need to keep it for some critical moments and work for the other action?
Well, of course, probably most people when they know that they can anytime they do it, they can hit. No point to keep doing this, because you create opportunities for opponent to learn to deal with it. So you just leave it on the shelf for hard times, for difficult times.
For 14-14, right?
In your arsenal, you can pull it out.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Yeah, when the score is 14-14, you can use it.
Yes.
But it's better not to let your opponent get to that score. Yeah, it's better use it.
Yes, usually yes. Usually, probably. I mean, this is what I would do personally. If I know I can, anytime I do this attack, I can hit him. So I can help trying to do it over and over again until he learns to deal with this, and I change, or I could just leave it and keep it for rainy days.
Yeah.
When I really need it. Yeah. And try something new. Learn.
I read about your favorite fencer who inspired you to start fencing. It was Zbigniew Skrudlik, right? If I'm not wrong.
Oh, yes. Zbigniew Skrudlik. It's a phenomenal personality, phenomenal coach, phenomenal fencer. And he had the greatest influence in my personality development of me as a fencer. Yeah.
Okay, so
fantastic technician, and
who else do you think who was your, except Zbigniew, so maybe in the modern time, who is your favorite fencers? You like their style and achievements? Maybe except Richard Cruz, because of course he's your student. But
I have his style by all means.
Yeah.
Yes. From the fencers, currently fencers, available on the. I really love Alexander Romanko, but who can't love fencing? Watching the way he fence, Alexander Romanko. But it was some time ago. Alex Chupanic is quite nice to watch. And who else? Some French. Enzo Lefort is quite good. But to be honest, I like watching the way some Italian fans like. No, I like very much Alessio Facconi, the way he's conducting his fencing, where he closes the distance, closes the gap, and putting pressure. Some very admire Ota. Was incredible, just like a demon of speed and the demon of his black belt. The way he beat Masialas in Moscow 2015 was one of the best fights I ever seen.
It's a great fight.
On the back, it was so. And I must admit, maybe Alex Masialas is a little bit too one-sided, but Garek is more. Alex is incredibly effective, but but I don't think so. I would say this is my favorite style, but it's very effective. But Meinhardt, I love Meinhardt watching the way.
He's very
Hong Kong guys.
Very
Hong Kong guys. Choi. Yes. Choi and Chong Galong. These two guys are amazing. I like watching them. The way they hit, score the touches. Who else? Well, Nick Eat had something about the way he used the aggression and effectiveness of his fencing, and sometimes accuracy. I was watching Nick Eatkin once, and I couldn't see any single off target. It was genius fight. I mean, same one time when I was watching Kasara, it was whole fight. One color light all the time. There wasn't any off target. So anyway, this kind of guys. So there are lots of amazing fencers in the world nowadays.
Can you make some predictions? Who's got the most chances to win the Tokyo
Olympic Games in Tokyo?
If
very hard.
Just who's got the most chances?
Has got the most chance. It's in men's foil. It's so broad scope. It could be any French fencer like Enzo could do it maybe one more time, and Italian Facconi, or maybe Gorozzo. Maybe not so much one of the Russians. Maybe Russians are more like for team. They're better in team. Maybe individually they are not so explosive. I mean, not so. But certainly one of the Italians, or two of Italians, and the fourth one of French. Who else?
But if you could pick the three. Okay, three. Let's give me three.
Three. Okay. So I will say definitely. Okay, Garek Meinhardt, Enzo Lefort, and Daniele Gorozzo. How about that?
Okay, it's a very good. So we can check how your prediction.
It could be. But honestly, it's only on the moment of the day. Japanese fencer Shikine, for example. You never know.
Shikine. Absolutely.
Or Saito might come to bounce back. Saito, because he's done it already. Leipzig 2017.
Quite possibly. It's Olympic Games. Everybody can. Everybody can do that.
Exciting.
Even
Alex get some wind in his wings. Or maybe Marcus Mepstead, so everyone's capable.
Especially we don't know which how people prepared now after COVID, right? Because we just seen only one or two competitions before Olympic Games, maybe some national championships. So you never know how our maybe leader, FIE leaders, maybe top 5, how they can fence now, how well they can do. It's gonna be probably we can see some surprises as well.
Oh yes,
all right, Ziemek, thank you for dedicating your time to talk to me to this podcast. I appreciate it a lot, and
pleasure.
I hope
thank you for your time as well, and it was really nice to talk to you.
Thank you. It's a big honor for me, and I hope we can travel soon, so we can see each other somewhere in the world.
Yes, me too. Hope so, Taras. For sure.
All right, Ziemek.
Okay, thank you so much. Take care. All the best.
Thank you. Take care too. Bye. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode, to this pretty long conversation with legendary coach from UK and Poland, Ziemek Wojciechowski. Ziemek told us a lot of interesting stuff about fencing, and if you want to find out more, you can even buy his book, This is Fencing, where he covers almost every aspect of fencing training and fencing development. And I think it's quite useful. It's really an encyclopedia of fencing. It's quite useful thing to read if you are related to fencing somehow, if you are a small guy who started fencing, or if you are a parent, or even professional, even referee, everybody. So I think you can purchase it in Amazon, or just Google it, and I think you're gonna find it out. So that was our first episode of season 2, and I'm gonna try to invite more cool guests who can tell me and you guys, listeners, something new and something interesting about our beautiful kind of sport. So if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to it. And you can also search my YouTube channel, Incredible Fencing, and Instagram page, where I also post sometimes some cool videos and cool pictures about fencing. And I think that's pretty much it. And thanks again. And I think it's time to say bye-bye and have a nice day. You are listening to Incredible Fencing Podcast. For more information, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, visit my Instagram page or website.